Hello, I'm Malcolm Harslett. Now, we all have a great deal of respect for the police departments all over the world, but there are so many bits and pieces that the police have used and discarded over the years. What happens to them? We'll find out next on OurTime. And welcome to OurTime. Our special guest in this program is Bill Pryor. Bill, you're the president of the the Police Department Historical Society.
Yeah.
It's not quite right, is it?
No, South Australian Police Historical Society.
Very good. Is that because you're historical?
Probably now. I probably am.
Well, you started life working as a policeman?
I did. I left school at the end of year 11 back in 1965, and I think 10 days later I joined the police department.
Was it a lifelong ambition to do that as a boy?
No, not really, because I grew up on a farm and I always wanted to be a farmer.
Okay.
In fact, I wanted to be a truck driver. That was what really was in my mind
Okay.
for many, many years. And then I came when I had to be more serious about what I wanted to do. I was never going to be a farmer. So I looked around and a friend of mine had joined the police department and he convinced me it was a good job. So I joined, as I said, 10 days after I left school, and 47 years and 5 months and 2 days later, I retired.
How can you retire from a job you love? Well, you didn't.
It was hard.
The point is you actually didn't, because you're still touching, if you like, the past of policing.
Yes, I got involved with the Police Historical Society during my career, towards the end of my career really, and then when I left I took up a position as president and volunteered and I got hooked on it, I guess, and I've learnt so much more about the police department and about the history of the police
But
department
you do, don't
since
you?
I left. Yeah, you do. I guess I got more time now.
But when you're doing it, you're living it every day. But what you're not living is what came before you.
Exactly. I guess when you're serving, obviously, every day is different when you go to work. You never know what you're going to get. You can't really plan what you're going to be doing.
No.
And so I guess you just live in the moment, that particular moment, which is a bit of a trap because the South Australian Police has a really, really interesting history, and the early history of South Australia Police is so much about the development of the state.
It is. It's
that is something
fascinating.
everybody should know.
Yeah,
it's a fascinating
yes,
story.
it is. I agree with you. Everyone should know, because it gives you a different respect for really what the police department has achieved over the years. But let's talk about what you achieved first of all. We've got some shots here of you as a young policeman, which I love. So they start off with Bill looking like this.
That's
How old were you then?
probably 17, 18. It was one of my photographs when I was a cadet at the academy.
You look like you're about to say, oh, come on, hurry up and take the photo. Let's look at the next one. Well, now Winky Dink was at Channel 9 and used to go on the program.
I did. There was a program called Deputies Club that the police department ran.
Yes, that's right. I'd forgotten that.
Yes, I was in charge of that program from a policing point of view,
Right.
and I think it was every month we went on to Channel 9.
Well, for those people not old enough to remember, Winky Dink is still a much-loved character here in South Australia, who became sort of the catalyst in a lot of children's television. This shot here with two young people with the bell.
Yeah, again, I was involved in schools programs, so we used to go to the schools and teach particularly personal safety within the schools. That's a country shot down at Mount Gambier.
Right.
We'd go across the state. It was a really good job because it got me to just about every town in South Australia.
Well, including, this looks like where was this? Is that at the convention centre?
Yeah, look, late in my career I was officer in charge of the police band for a period of about 8 years.
Of course.
And in South Australia, during that time, we had a number of police tattoos at the entertainment centre, and I was formerly the officer in charge of the band of the South Australia Police, and I'd meet the my equivalence with all of the visiting bands, and that, I think, is the musical director from the Malaysian police band.
Right, I thought Malaysian. And this young lad?
We had other programs we used to run. Blue Light was the name of the program. It was a youth program for young kids. We would do all sorts of things in that program, from education through to physical activities, having barbecues. And this is a multicultural event where I got to know this young lad, and I picked him up, and he started pinching the side of my face. I nearly dropped him, actually, because he pinched a little bit harder than I was expecting. But nevertheless, it was aimed at sort of building good relationships between young people in the police, and in this particular case, other ethnic communities and police, because a lot of those people who are coming to Australia from are escaping war-torn areas.
Yeah, this is a special photo, isn't it?
It is. This is where the police museum is housed, and this photograph was taken on the day that museum was 100 years old. So it was 100 years old in 2017.
So it was originally the police barracks where the policemen literally lived?
Yeah, that was the building.
Because it was all divided into rooms, wasn't it?
It is. It was built in opened in 1917. It was housed 48 mounted police officers, all men, of course, who rode the horses, and the stables are just across the quadrangle from where that photograph is, just right behind it.
And the police band is right next to that. This is was it called the Black Maria?
That's called a Black Maria, and we have it's a full-size replica of a prison van which was used from the mid-1880s, through to 1925. It was used to count prisoners between the courts in Adelaide and the jail, the jail down near Thebarton Barracks.
Yes.
And also to Yatala.
Oh, right. Because for those who don't live in South Australia, the police barracks and the old jail, and where the horses are kept, and some of the vehicles were kept, and officers, they're all sort of in an enclave there,
they're in a precinct, which is now just on the west.
Better word to use.
Yeah, they're in an area just west of the new Royal Adelaide Hospital.
Right.
And the Women's and Children's Hospital, I understand, will be very, very close.
Very
to
close,
that
yes. I love this shot going down the street. What was that from?
That was celebrating 175 years of policing in South Australia. So we dressed up in uniform.
Yes, with a few of the different ones there.
Various times, and we took some of the old vehicles for a drive. We took the Black Maria. It's the last time we've used it on public roads.
Was there anybody inside though, Bill? Was there anybody you picked up on the way?
No, but there's a seat on the back, and I think there's a passenger sitting on the back. But no one inside. It's wasn't quite designed to have people sitting in it. It's actually designed as a mobile museum, really, and you can open the back doors, and there's some display material inside it.
Well, that's the lovely thing about the museum, the fact that there is just so much from everywhere. So we've got a whole lot of shots. Let's buzz through some of these. Look is that you? Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's me. That was at a formal ceremony. We have a series of formalities, I guess. One of them is that each September we recognise all police officers that have been killed on duty. I think this photograph was taken at one of those.
Right, which is actually how I contacted you, because there was an article in the paper about a plaque being reinstated for one of the policemen that was killed.
Correct.
Down at Glenelg.
Yep, Albert Ring. He was murdered in, I think it was 1908.
In the course of duty?
Yes, he had a practice, I suppose, of every night he would go and meet the last train that came from the city. Now, in 1908, it was a train that went to Glenelg, not a tram, and the train station was in what we now know as Moseley Square, or adjacent to Moseley Square. He would go down and meet the train